In the know.
Good evening, everyone.
In the know.
Tony Reeves, fire. Following the news in any way, shape, or form. No shortage of things to talk about. What does it mean? What will it bring? This is a reality we simply have to accept. Tony Reeves, fire. Tony Reeves. Let's go ahead and
Surviving the
get started.
disability process. Proving your case is critical based on dire need. Okay. Here's how this tip comes into play. First of all, let me throw this out there to you. I know I may have talked about this in other videos, but allow me the opportunity to expound again here. When you're applying for disability benefits, I know you don't want to hear this, but my responsibility is to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're not special. And before you get an attitude, I don't mean that in this way you think. What I mean by you're not special, I mean that everyone is in your same situation. They're not working. They have no insurance. Okay. Now, let me back up because I'm going to. Some people saying, "Well, not everybody's like that." You're right. There are going to be some people who are not working, who may be working under the table. There's going to be people who may still have their insurance, whether it be through their spouse or their military and so forth. There may be people who are living with loved ones, or they have their significant other supports them, so they don't have to worry about things like food, rent, and utilities because their loved one is taking care of that. I'm with you. I'm with you I'm with you 120% when it comes to that. What I ultimately mean by saying you're not special, what I'm saying is that everybody is in a life-altering, devastating situation as a result of them not being able to work. So what happens is that so many people are in this situation that when you're telling Social Security that your case should be critical based on dire need, what you're ultimately doing is you're telling the government that they need to move you ahead of somebody who's been in the system longer. Okay? So there's a few things that you need to keep in mind. I'm going to tell you a couple of them, and then we'll talk about some more after the break. First one is, are you operating without food? Are you unable to attain the food? Meaning, most times people I run across, they're on food stamps. So if you're getting food stamps, that's not really saying you're not without food. What you're basically telling the government is that, hey, I don't have money for food. I don't have food. I have no ability to get food. Also, you lack medicine and medical care and you're unable to obtain it. Listen carefully, because if you know the last few videos that we've done, I've talked about finding medical treatment. Social Security is, like I said, they are aware of what resources that are in your area. So if you have a facility in your area that may be able to assist you, you want to make sure that you utilize that facility. So keep in mind, saying that you can't get access to medical and medical care is tough, because if there's one in your area, they're going to want you to avail yourself of it. You got to show that there's nothing in your area to get access to. Now, we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about other things you can use to provide, and then also talking about some other things that you need to consider.
Under the Social Security regulations, representatives are permitted to practice before the administrative agency anywhere in the country, which means that when you're looking for a representative, you can find someone who doesn't necessarily have to be in your state if you're just going before the administrative agency. So it's possible to have an attorney or representative who's from Utah, even though you may be in Georgia. And our office is actually no different. So if you're wondering which states we cover, check this out. Now, the tricky part is once you have to sue the Social Security Administration. Under that situation, you want to have an attorney that's representing you in your jurisdiction. So if you have a representative who's in another state and you've gone all the way to the Appeals Council and you've been denied and you want to sue the Social Security Administration, make sure you ask that representative whether or not they can sue someone in that particular state.
Now, keep in mind, lack of shelter is a big thing. If you are homeless, please take it upon yourself to show that you have no place to stay, that there's no shelters available, or you're staying in a homeless shelter, or you're about to have imminent eviction or foreclosure. This comes up a lot because you are getting ready to start the foreclosure process. Most people don't realize the foreclosure process can take a few months or even a year. So it's not about whether you're starting it. Are you at the end? And sometimes people come to me and they say, Attorney Reeves, I don't want to get my case sped up right when I'm getting ready to boot it out the door. And I tell them there are people who I've represented who lived on the interstate who weren't critical. So really, you have to be at that point. You can't take a preemptive strike with Social Security because that's not the way it works, because everybody would do it like that. You've got to be in that. That's why they call it dire need. So here's what you need to consider. 2 things. 1, remember everybody else is similarly situated. So you want to go to 2. Document and show how your situation is completely different. I cannot stress this enough. When you are trying to prove that you are in a dire need situation, you must show through documentation that your situation is so crucial that you should be moved ahead of somebody else. Now keep this in the back of your mind. Remember, even though they move your case ahead, does not necessarily mean that it's going to have a hearing tomorrow. It just means that your wait time will be less. Keep these things in the back of your mind. Document, because you're trying to prove that your situation is so much worse than someone else's. You got to be able to prove it.
I want to thank all of you for engaging in the videos. Make sure you take the opportunity to send me any comments or send me any particular questions that you want me to have addressed here. As you know, this show is for you. And so the only way I can make sure that I can provide you some good information is if you provide me some good questions. Keep them coming, and right here on Q&A, Social Security Disability Today.